you ready?
Yes.
Okay, welcome and good luck.
Good morning, Publix, and thank you for having us back today. My name is Megan Christopher.
And my name is Sarah Class.
And we're here to reiterate to you the ethical concerns of joining the CIW's program, the Fair Food Program. One of the most pressing ethical concerns is the routine violation of the laws that are in place to protect the rights of migrant workers. Starting with enforcement, there are only 16 inspectors in the state of Florida for 40,000 commercial farms. So how can we enforce these laws properly if we can't even, how can we expect employers to follow the laws if we can't even enforce them properly? Next, these laws are in place to promote the well-being of these workers and provide them with a decent working environment. But yet reasonable wages are also correlated with a decent working environment. But 3 out of 5 migrant workers live below the poverty line. And an annual income for a migrant worker is $10,000 annually. To put this in perspective, the living wage for one adult in the state of Florida is $23,000. And not only is that $10,000 for one adult, it's for an entire migrant family. Next, these laws are in place to provide and make sure that to provide a decent lifestyle for these migrant workers, yet they are working and living in terrible conditions. Farm working is considered the second most dangerous job in the United States and is number 1 in the country for toxin-related injuries and illnesses developed on the job. Yet only 28% of these injuries are compensated for by employers. And they're living in terrible conditions. The law says that the housing provided to them must meet the code of local government, yet the housings provided to them are also shared amongst a few families, have concrete floors, plywood walls, no proper insulation, loose wiring. This is not only uncomfortable, this is extremely unsafe. Lastly, and one of the most atrocious laws being violated, and one of the biggest ethical concerns, is the routine occurrence of slavery in the fields of Immokalee. The CIW themselves have assisted in numerous trials and helped liberate up to 1,200 enslaved workers. To give you a specific case of this atrocity, in 2008, 2 brothers from Immokalee, Florida, Caesar and Giovanni Narvetti, were sentenced to 12 years of federal prison each for the beating, battery, and enslavement of migrant workers. These workers were chained to the rafters of a U-Haul truck and forced to live there and then go to the fields all day and come back. Now the CIW addresses all these issues not only by having the Fair Food Program and providing them with nearly 60% more wages per hour. They also give programs that promotes the rights of workers by providing them with readily available bathrooms, water and shade on the job. They help protect the interests of growers by teaching them the rights and responsibilities. Lastly, they enforce these with an independent auditing group headed by a New York Supreme Justice to help them enforce the standards that are there from pre-existing law.
Now I'll talk to you more about Publix and how the ethical concerns relate to them. Publix is one of the most popular supermarkets throughout the Southeast, with 1,111 stores, 764 being in Florida. Publix has received numerous awards for being such an outstanding company, such as one of America's best companies, Best Supermarkets, from dailymeal.com in 2016, one of Fortune's most admired companies from 1994 until present day. Your mission at Publix is to be the premier quality food retailer in the world, and for years you have been able to achieve this goal. However, not joining the Fair Food Program has begun to cause a rift between you and your customers, a rift that can only grow deeper. You are a company benefited by your exemplary brand image and the importance you place on being an ethical and sound organization. Yet in 2010, Dwayne Stevens, a public spokesperson, said if there are some atrocities going on, it is not our business. And still today, these views have not changed. And while we understand the message that Dwayne Stevens was trying to relay, we disagree. In this day and age, the atrocities going on are your business. Straight from your website is the quote, "We will never knowingly disappoint you." A message aimed at your customers and your stakeholders. Therefore, a message aimed at all of us here today. Unfortunately, many people are disappointed with your decision to evade the Fair Food Program and your resistance to integrate corporate social responsibility into this decision. Corporate social responsibility becomes more prominent in business every year. It is a business practice that involves participating in initiatives that benefit society. And as consumers' awareness about social issues continues to grow, so does the importance they place on CSR when choosing where to shop. By not expanding on your previously set CSR initiatives, Publix is subject to significant backlash from these stakeholders. There are many aspects to typical food supply chains, and while obviously not all apply to Publix, who is at the height of a very large supply chain themselves, the farm workers in Immokalee who work to supply Publix supermarkets are part of Publix's supply chain. Therefore, it is Publix's responsibility to care about the atrocities going on in Immokalee. Publix is commended for how well they take care of their stakeholders. Yet these particular stakeholders seem to be forgotten. You pride yourself off being a neighborhood company, yet communities are often left out when examining stakeholders. Again, on your website, you say that you are the kind of company a community can count on. Yet just 10 minutes away from one Publix supermarket is the Immokalee community itself. The CIW is quite literally in Publix's backyard, and yet you are not a part of the program that these workers, this community, counts on. By resisting the CIW's request for you to join the Fair Food Program, you are resisting the importance and growing significance of corporate social responsibility, which is not only synonymous with business ethics, but also encompasses dimensions such as safety and human rights. The heart of this issue is that a hardworking group of men and women are being denied basic human rights. While there's more interest in food these days than ever, there seems to be little interest in the hands that pick it. Farm workers are often abused and robbed of wages. In extreme cases, they can be beaten, sexually harassed, and even enslaved, as Megan explained earlier. All these within the borders of the United States. In fact, all in the state of Florida. The human cost in our food supply is far too expensive, and the Fair Food Program works to ensure a dignified life for these farm workers. In a Washington Post article, the Fair Food Program was called one of the great human rights success stories of our day for its constant efforts to end the human rights violations that occur in Immokalee and other farms every day. Today, farm labor is one of the most dangerous and underpaid jobs in America. Farm workers work at a brutal pace just to earn a minimum wage and live well below the poverty line. They live in homes not fit for living, homes over capacity and not safe for any adult, let alone children, since many of these men and women live in these farms with families. The United Nations declares the inherent dignity and equal rights of all members of the human family. We have a moral duty to treat others equally, with autonomy and with respect, to put self-interest aside and take a look at the bigger picture. Do not think of people as a means to an end. Do not act for the greatest good for the greatest amount of people if there's even a small portion of people being hurt in the process. Act on behalf of everybody and on each person's basic human rights. At the height of a supply chain, you have a duty to ensure that the quality and treatment of those below you are up to your standards. Moral duty means that businesses should do no harm. And indirectly, by not joining the Fair Food Program, you are doing harm. You are not protecting the rights of these workers that work so hard to supply Publix supermarkets. You are turning your backs on the moral duty that could so greatly help many disadvantaged workers and benefit your company. So Publix, remember what makes you different. You are a company that cares about your stakeholders, and now it's time for you to prove that. Uphold the standards that bring customers to your stores every day. We understand that there's no perfect solution to the problem at hand. One company cannot end poverty, but one company, your company, can make a difference. If your efforts can positively impact the lives of one family, even one man or one woman, isn't that worth it?
That's why we're here today, to recommend Publix to help end the poverty and injustices in the field of Immokalee. In conclusion, This program would not only greatly benefit your company and your brand image, but it would greatly benefit the workers in Immokalee, Florida, and the farm owners. By advancing human rights and addressing the ethical concerns in food tailors' supply chains. Thank you for having us back.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Marist. In about, just give me a couple minutes here to do some notes.